be that divine power in small steps. And before we start, I just want to break the ice and get to know you guys a little bit more. Although I think I know most of you. But what was your name again?
Isabel.
Isabel. She's here for the first time today. I think she's Anjan's friend. So thank you for coming. If you could introduce yourself by saying what your name is, where you're from, and what your favorite aspect about spirituality is. Whether it's bhakti or any other form, whatever you've been practicing, anything.
My name is Krishna Rai. I'm born and raised from here, New York City. My favorite aspect of spirituality is congregation, and in this culture, is kirtan.
My name is Robbie Taliaferro. I'm from New York City. My favorite aspect of spirituality is when you study something and you pray about it, and then it kind of just comes together naturally.
Hi everybody, my name is Priyansh. I'm from Mumbai, India, and my favorite aspect of spirituality is
It's recording.
meditation,
It's recording.
actually everything, kirtan, everything.
Anjan?
My name is Anjan. I'm from Brooklyn, and I just rediscovered ISKCON in the last few months, and I love this place, the books, the teaching, the discourses, everything. Thank you.
Very nice.
My name is Devatman. I'm from Chicago originally.
Oh.
Favorite community?
Very nice.
My name is Sudipta Shah. I'm from Bangladesh, and I think I totally agree with the community.
Community. Carmen?
My name is Carmen. I'm from the Boogie Down Bronx. And it's my favorite aspects change. It started with prasadam, then the challenge
Oh.
of all the things that I disagree with, and then the fact that we're so toxic, and then the mantra just starts to cleanse it. Different aspects that keep coming without just me waiting what's next.
Yeah. And there's more to come. It's
Yeah.
it's never ending. That's the thing. Louis?
My name is Luis, or Luis, depending on
Sorry,
the
Luis.
day. I'm from Venezuela, and I have so many things I like about spirituality. I'm gonna say a few. I like the community, definitely, the kirtan and dancing, and the philosophy.
Is that in order or?
I mean, it might change on the day, but
Okay.
those three.
Very nice. Isabel?
My name is Isabel. I'm from France.
Oh.
Living in New York for
Bonjour.
quite some time. In my religion, it's called Tikkun Olam. That's mean taking care of the earth, meaning taking care of everything on
Hmm.
earth, and community in my temple.
Very nice. And you? What's your name?
Ethan. I'm from Canada. I just moved here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's your first time here today?
First time here.
Very nice. Welcome.
Thank you.
My name is Prabhavishnu, or PV. Because Isabel asked me what my name is, and I said Prabhavishnu.
And I was like,
That's my name. But if you can't pronounce it, you can just call me PV. So, Karina? Oh, that. No problem. We're just introducing ourselves. If you could.
Oh,
Yeah.
hi, I'm Karina. Hare Krishna.
Where are you from?
I'm from like a 10-minute walk from
Okay.
here.
And what's your favorite aspect about spirituality so far?
Chanting
Chanting. Very nice.
and association.
Very nice. Oh, I think we've covered everyone. I still feel like you guys are so far away. Just
Oh,
come
wow.
closer. Just forget the cameras and just come around. So as you guys saw that everyone, when we went around, everyone had different things that they spoke about. Someone said kirtan, someone said chanting, someone said dancing, someone said eating, someone said community. So there's many things, and this is what spirituality is about. It's all encompassing, and it's for everyone. But we can see that although spirituality is for everyone, in broad sense, in a very broad sense, only there's two kinds of people this world can be categorized in. And although spirituality is for everyone, and although everyone can take to it, sadly, there's only, out of those two kinds of people, only one they can properly take to it. Otherwise, other people, they're like, they look at it and then they criticize it, and then they question it, but they never take to it. So these two types of people, does anyone know what I'm talking about? Who these two types of people might be?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Skeptics.
Yeah? Skeptics is a word, yes. Anyone else?
Devotees.
Devotees, yeah. So basically, these are the godly people. One kind is the godly people, the saintly people, the pious, or the religious, or like Robbie said, devotees. So these are the people who are favorable. They understand that there's something higher. There's more to this world than just fighting with each other, thinking that they are the center of the world. There's more to it. Like community is one of those things that people. These are qualities of saintly people. They believe in community, and they believe that community for the higher sense, not just community to eat, marry, and enjoy. Not for those things. And on the other side, we see that there's ungodly people, the non-saintly, the impious, the irreligious, and the demoniac. And these are the people who who lead a life full of sin. Like they're killing other living entities, like animals, for example. They partake in various kinds of drugs, intoxication. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Intoxication. They take part in gambling, and they take part in illicit sexual activities that inhibit the process of spirituality coming to them. Like spirituality is such a thing that although everyone can take to it, so these four things, they block it, they hinder it, they delay the process. Like it makes it very difficult for one to come to spirituality if they're constantly eating meat, if they're drinking, gambling, smoking, all these things. So that's that. So what is it that determines godly and ungodly people, or the pious and the impious, the skeptics versus the non-skeptics? Does anyone know? Anyone have any ideas? Is it birth?
No.
Is it the color of their skin?
Inspiration.
Inspiration? Yes.
Modes of nature.
Faith.
Passion? What did you say, sir?
Faith.
Faith, yes.
How they live their lives.
How they live their lives.
Association.
Association,
The
yes.
three modes of nature.
Three modes of nature. So all of this can be summarized into, sorry?
Karma.
Karma, yes. All of this can be summarized into one term. It's called activities. Karma, like Carmen said, she got it right. Karma. Not karma in the sense that, oh, what you have done in the past and you're getting reactions. Karma is a broad term. It has many, many meanings. One meaning is, like Devatman said, your past reactions, whatnot. Karma also means activities. So what you do, how you associate with people. So all of what you guys said, it's correct, absolutely true. But the broader term to put all of that together is karma. So it is this karma that determines our character, right? Welcome. And there's a very interesting verse, and don't worry about it. If you don't understand what it means, I'll explain it. It's a Bengali proverb that goes like this. Muchi hoya shuchi hoya yadi Krishna bhaje, shuchi hoya muchi hoya yadi Krishna tyaje. So basically, the first line is saying is that someone who is of a very low birth, who has no idea how to approach the divinity, the supreme, take the religious principles, no idea. He's living a very dirty life. Somehow, if by the association of devotees or the pious people, or the saintly people, he can meet them, then and take to the supreme, whatever that might be. It might be Allah, it might be Jesus, it might be Buddhism, whatever it may be. If they simply take to it, then their life is perfect. But at the same time, someone who's born in a very pious family, someone who comes from a lineage of saintly people, but if he's performing all kinds of nefarious activities, if he's killing other animals, if he's stealing from people, if he's always engaged in illicit activities, even though he comes from such a pious birth or such a wonderful birth, he's considered irreligious, non-saintly, whatever you might call it, skeptic, whatever. So, like I said, like Carmen said, karma determines our activities. Our character. So, like this, there's so many people out there who have good characters. All of us have good characters here. That's why we're here. Now, amongst us, there's someone who might have a little higher character, and someone had a little higher than that. So we come to a point where it's like we find a leader who has the best qualities amongst all of us. Like for us in this movement, we have Srila Prabhupada, who is such a pious soul, so devoted to the Supreme. His whole life has been dedicated to preaching Krishna, the path of bhakti. It's called Krishna consciousness for us. So like that, we take him as our inspiration. But above him, there's more elevated souls who know more about religion than Prabhupada does. And so these And in this universe, there's 12 of them. And these are their names are here. We're not going to go into the details of who these are, it doesn't matter, but there's 12, they call it 12 Mahajans, or the 12 apostles. I'm sure you guys have heard this in Christianity, the 12 apostles. Similarly, in Bhakti, we also have our 12 apostles, and we're going to be speaking about one of them. One of the apostles is Bali Maharaj. So King Bali, everyone got that name? King Bali, yeah? So Bali was a very powerful king, and I'm talking like years ago, millions and millions of years ago. We're talking maybe 6, 7, 8 million years ago, when none of us were alive. We were alive in a different body, but not in this body. So Bali, he was a son of Virochan, another king, powerful king, who was a son of Prahlad Maharaj. I'm sure some of you have heard of who Prahlad Maharaj is. Yeah? Anyone who hasn't heard of Prahlad? Isabel? No. So Prahlad was a very, very pious soul who was one of the 12 apostles. He's also one of the 12 apostles. And his grandson, Bali, who we're going to be speaking about, is also one of the 12 apostles. That's all you need to know for now. The rest you'll find out in time. So Bali, because he was the grandson of Prahlad, he inherited the whole kingdom, which is the entire world, because Prahlad was so powerful, such a wonderful king, that he was able to conquer the whole universe. And I don't just mean Earth. You guys believe in other planets out there? He conquered everything. Everything was under his domain. There was no planet that was not under Bali's domain or Prahlad's domain. So Bali inherited all of that. So Bali was very powerful. And like all powerful people, they have ministers, they have a bunch of people who they take advice from, whether it be good or bad. Shukracharya, you got that? Shukracharya, okay? Names doesn't matter, just guru, okay? So this was the guru of Bali. So Bali, because he was such a powerful king, he needed an advisor who could constantly advise him on how to conquer more and more and more. Because kings or rulers generally have this tendency, they have this motive passion that drives them, right? They always want to conquer more and more. No king is ever satisfied with one small palace or one fort and one queen or whatever. They always want more and more. That's why in history you see kings had so many queens. Even in the Mughal periods in India, four wives, 5 wives, 6 wives, so many. And back in the day, millions and millions of years ago, certain kings, there was one king who had 99 million wives. Can you imagine it? 99 million wives.
Wow.
Like, how do you keep track of so many wives? You can. I struggle to keep track of the 50 people who live in this building. I don't know where they are half the time. But to have 99 million wives, that's ridiculous. So Shukracharya, okay, we're going to take a deviation real quick and go into astrology. Who here knows anything about astrology? Okay, great. So I'm not speaking foreign stuff here. Who knows the planet Venus? Okay, all of you know it's the second planet in the planetary system. Great. So Shukracharya represents Venus. So Venus, what does Venus represent? It represents the materialistic qualities. It represents the desire for luxury, the desire to have more and more. So Shukracharya, he's a representation of that. He's the embodiment of that. So Bali Maharaj had such a guru. So what is the guru telling him? Go get this, gain that, do this activity, you'll get this credit. You conquer that kingdom, you'll get this. So on and so forth. So that's how Bali became so powerful, because of his guru. Now, of course, in this world, there's dualities. There cannot just be one thing which is absolute. There has to be the opposite of that. So the opposite of Shukracharya is Brihaspati. So Brihaspati, one other thing about Bali that I forgot. Bali, although he's one of the 12 apostles, interestingly enough, he's the son of a demon. He comes from a demoniac lineage. Like, you know how there's like saintly people, then there's like normal people, then there's like loud people, then there's crazy people. Lowest of the lowest, there's like demoniac people who are always looking to hurt others. So in that lineage was Prahlad, Bali. So they belong to that lineage. But at the same time, they're two of the 12 apostles. How does that make sense? Because it doesn't depend on your birth. It doesn't depend on your birth. It depends on your karma. So you can be born in a saintly family and be a demon. You can be born in a demonic family and be a saint. Of course, because although Bali was conquering so many different planets, it didn't make him bad. It didn't make him a bad person, because that's the nature of a king. You cannot have a king who just is happy with one piece of land and that's it. Otherwise, how will the kingdom expand? Not talking about modern day warfare where one country is constantly fighting with the other one. No, not like that. This is to provide for the citizens. Back in the day, war was of a different kind. It was to provide amenities for the citizens, like more land for more agriculture, more houses for more people coming in, trade, all these things. So Shukracharya was basically the guru of the demons. Now Brihaspati, on the opposite, he's the leader of the good people, the saintly people, or so to say, the demigods, or people who are constantly challenging the demons. And that's what the demons were, who the demons were fighting. Demons weren't just fighting other demons; they were fighting the saintly people, or people who welcome, who were they also had their demands. They also wanted to conquer. So there was a clash. If someone wants to take over this planet, Bali will go fight them. If another demigod wants to take over that planet, Bali's there. So there's always fighting going on. So Brihaspati, he represents Jupiter. He's the embodiment of Jupiter. And what does Jupiter represent? Jupiter represents knowledge, the desire for knowing things. It's for the saintly people, like people who have strong Jupiter in their charts. I'm sure Atita Guna Mataji, she's an astrologer, she knows. So people who have high Jupiter in their charts, they are very education oriented. They're very knowledgeable, and they strive to find out about the higher things in life. So that was Brihaspati. He was the guru of the saintly people. So once upon a time, Bali Maharaj, before he became so powerful, he got to a point where he was injured in a battle. And his guru, Shukracharya, he saved him with a magical or medicinal herb. Now the name, it doesn't matter what it is. It's Sanjeevani, but that's not the point. So Shukracharya gave him that strength. He infused that strength into Bali through the magic of the herbs. Now, it sounds weird. Oh, how can someone infuse energy into me through a herb? Back in the day, all these things were possible, like black magic, white magic, all these different kinds of magics existed. Nowadays, we don't see it so much because the age is such, the Kali Yuga is such. So Shukracharya gave Bali all this strength, and Bali, what did he do? He went and defeated the king of all the demigods, Indra. So Indra basically means king of gods. So all of what Indra owned, which is the heavenly planets, this is where all the, like in Christianity and Islam, they say, oh, thou shalt attain heaven. So this is what we're talking about, heavenly planets, that heavenly domain. Earth is here, and above that is the heavenly planets. So that's what Indra was the leader of. And Bali, he went and conquered that because of his guru. He gave him all that power. Now, poor Indra, when sometimes we're all defeated in life, we're all sad, when we've lost everything, who do we turn to?
God.
No, before that. Before we go to God.
Substances.
Above that. Somewhere between God and drugs. People. What kind of people?
Well, I guess it depends how we're defeated.
Who would you go to?
Well, I guess it depends how I'm defeated. Like, if my physical body is hurt, I would go to a doctor.
Astrologer, okay.
Have close people.
Friends. Someone you trust.
Friends, community,
Safe space.
safe space. Family.
Okay.
So, Indra, sorry, he lost everything. Who did Indra go to? His mother. Indra went to his mother, Aditi. Nice name, Aditi. Aditi was very upset. She's the mother of all the demigods, right? And her eldest son, Indra, who's the ruler of all the demigods, goes to her and tells her, I lost everything. I need it back. I'm so sad. Because he's a king. He needs to hold on to something. So Aditi, what does she do? He feels bad for his son. She goes and prays to God. She does all different kinds of austerities, penances, fasting, whatnot. She does all these things to obtain the favor of God. And God, because he's so kind and because, the mother of all the demigods is asking him, how can he say no? He says, okay, I'll appear. I'll appear in this world and take care of all your problems and all of your son's problems and give him back whatever he lost. Now, when God appears, he appears in many different forms. In whatever religion it might be, doesn't matter. God has innumerable forms, expansions, parts, parcels, half forms, this, that, so many different kinds. There's 6 different kinds, but the forms are different. The 6 types, but of the 6 types, the forms could be a billion. So these are some of the forms. Sometimes he appears as a fish. Now, whatever I'm going to say, don't freak out. Just because God appears as a fish doesn't mean he's not God or that he's going crazy. God can do whatever he wants. That's what makes him God. So he comes as a boar, he comes as a tortoise, he comes as half man, half lion, he comes as a dwarf. And we're going to be talking about this dwarf incarnation today. So why does God come? God comes to protect the saintly people. He comes to destroy, he comes to reestablish all the religious principles that have been lost by the influence of time. Because time is such. Whatever good things you create, at some point, time will destroy it. And he also comes to destroy the irreligious or the demoniac people. He takes care of them. But the main reason why he comes is for attracting people to him. That's the main purpose of God's appearance in this world. God is all powerful. He doesn't need to come down to protect something. Mother Nature does it for him. Tornadoes, earthquakes, floods, forest fires, so many things. He can do it without even coming here. And to protect people from the demoniac, no problem. He can just stop someone's heartbeat in a second. God has that capability because God is in our heart. And we all know that. We all believe that God is in our heart, right? Anyone who doesn't? No, okay, great. So God has that power and he can do what he wants. So he can appear how he wants. And this time, in this past time that we're talking about, he appears as a dwarf. And he appears by the name Upendra in that picture. That's literally how he appeared. Like a little chubby baby, not baby, but a little chubby boy who was wearing nothing but deerskin around his body. So his name is Upendra. And Upendra, if in Sanskrit, usually each word or something of like 6, 7 letters is a combination of 2 or more words. So in this, Upendra is Upa and Indra. So smaller, Upa means smaller version, and Indra means king of heaven. So this big Indra who just went and cried to his mother prayed to God. God came as little Indra. Now what is little Indra going to do? Go fight for big Indra and give back what he lost. So, thank God. So that's what Upendra means. And once again, this is what Upendra looks like. You're so close to his mother's heart. And that's another meaning of Upa, one who is very close to the heart. So Upa, because of his, I guess, baby features of little chubby boy, his mother found him very dear. And mother was very attached to him. But he promised his mother that my first responsibility is to promise to get you what I promised you. So he comes. He came, and he did. We'll talk about what he just did. So God appears based on time, place, and circumstance. Like I just said earlier, he doesn't appear in the same form every single time. He will not appear in a half man, half lion form in this situation. It's nice if he wanted to, he could, but he already came as a half man, half lion, and he scared everybody. He scared all the demigods. He scared his mother. He scared so many other people. So this time he decided to take a cuter form so he wouldn't scare others. So he came as a baby boy. I keep saying baby boy. You know what I mean, baby dwarf. Baby dwarf, Upendra. So like that, the time was such that he needed to appear in that form because we'll find out why. So when God or the divine or the supreme, whatever you want to call him, when he appears, he doesn't lose anything. He doesn't lose any aspect of himself. And there's this wonderful verse it's one of the Upanishads. It's called Shri Upanishad. And it goes like this. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Very nice. What does it mean? It means, we can all read this together because it's a very, very nice definition. The Supreme Personality is perfect and complete. And because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Anyone didn't understand this? He's just shaking his head. He got it, he got it. So basically, whatever comes out of him is perfect, in the sense that we're all parts and parcels of God. We can all survive on our own. Of course, we need some basic necessities, like we need food to run this body, but he's not talking about the body. He's talking about the soul that's within us, the thing that drives this body. That is perfect in itself. It is fully conscious of everything. It is full of knowledge and full of bliss, just like the Supreme Whole, right? How can the Supreme Whole be sad and upset and gloomy and moody, and then we're trying to find that Supreme and also try to be sad and moody? That doesn't make sense. So the Supreme has to be blissful, all blissful. So we are parts and parcels of that Supreme, and we are complete. And so many parts and parcels are coming out of the Supreme. Does that mean that he's losing himself? No, right? Otherwise, how would he be the Supreme? If I cut my body, and give you something, I lost something. It'll grow back, but there'll be a big dent. But the Supreme, if he were to cut himself, firstly, it wouldn't work because he cannot be cut. He would still be full. He has so many emanations from him. So many plants, so many insects. Cockroaches, for example. New York City is full of cockroaches and rats. They multiply like crazy. We see them every 5 seconds. Even if you kill one, 10 more come out of nowhere. And they're all parts and parcel of Krishna or God or the Supreme, whatever you want to call him. And it shows that he doesn't lose himself. So like that, he appeared. He appeared as a little dwarf. And when he appeared, first thing first, he went straight to where Bali was performing sacrifices. Why was he performing sacrifices? To gain more land, to gain more kingdom, to gain more wealth, all these things. So when Bali saw him, Bali was, because of his cute form, Bali was mesmerized. He was in awe. He was just like, who is this beautiful boy? Is this God? But he wasn't sure because God had never appeared in that form before. He knew of God's half lion, half man form and all the other forms, but he hadn't seen this form yet, so he didn't know. So he was very much attracted, and he realized that this is a very saintly person because he's dressed in such simple clothing, just deerskin, has a pot in his hand and a little umbrella on his head, protecting from the sun and all these things. So he asked Upendra, what do you want? Do you want cows? Do you want a big house? Do you want gold? Do you want a beautiful wife? All these things he asked him. But what did Upendra say? Oh, I don't know why this is here again. Oops. Upendra said, no, I don't want any of those things. I don't want anything. Nothing. I just want 3 steps. And then Bali goes like, you want 3 steps? I mean, have you seen yourself? You're a dwarf. What 3 steps will you take? Where will you go with those 3 steps? You'll still be in my kingdom. Do you want my kingdom? Is that what you're saying? No, I just want 3 steps. That's it. And then Bali Maharaj goes like, are you sure? How about a beautiful kingdom? Horses, cows, all these things I can give you. Why 3 steps? And then Upendra, who is none different from the Supreme, he says this, one who possesses everything, but whose mind is uncontrolled, is never happy. But one who possesses nothing, but whose mind is controlled, I spelled controlled wrong, as you can see, controlled, is always happy. So within this interesting pastime, little dwarf, cute baby dwarf is giving the highest wisdom. He's like, I'm satisfied with 3 steps, but what you're suggesting to me, I don't need any of that. I'm happy with what I'm asking for. So please, if you can, give me what I'm asking for. So now, Shukracharya, the guru of Bali, he knows something's up. Why would a random baby dwarf come to a sacrifice and ask for 3 steps? So strange. It's like someone coming to this classroom and asking you for something so random. And my mind's not working right now. I cannot give an example, but you guys are all creative people. You can think. So Guru tells him, hey, stop it. Don't fall for this. He's going to take everything from you. He's none other than God. And he's here to give everything back to the same people you stole everything from. So watch out. Don't give anything. And then, what does Bali do? What is a disciple supposed to do? To listen to his guru, right? Or whoever you're learning something from. If he tells you, play the instrument like this, you're going to play it like that. You're not going to question him. Why? But Bali, he says, why? If you know that God is here, why are you stopping me from meeting God? Why are you getting in the way of bhakti, of spirituality? Why are you interfering in that process? And Shukracharya is like, because you can lose everything. You can lose all your material opulences. So, Bali says, so, that's okay. But I'll gain God. Is that a problem? Because remember, although he's born as a demon, because of his activities, he's a saint. So he has those saintly qualities within him. So although his guru is forcing him to go in the materialistic way, he says, no, I'm going to go this way. I'm going to take the spiritual path. I'm going to accept God and whatever he does to me. And guru's like, okay. Are you sure? He's like, yeah, I'm sure. And then what does he do? He disowns the guru. He said, I don't want to associate with you anymore. Go to the side. Let me talk to God. Because he came to that realization that if God is here, it must be for my benefit. Because whatever I have so much. I have all this land, all these planets, all this gold, money, wives, maidservants, so many things he has. But when I die, what will I take with me? Can I take my family with me? Can anyone take their family with them when they die? Their husband or wife? No. Bank balance? No. You can leave it for someone else, but that will come to an end someday. Because that next person will probably finish it. Can you take wealth? Can you take gold bars to the grave? Will they compound and become more gold bars? No. Possessions, your land, your house, your cars, your motorbikes. What are you going to do with them? Ride to hell? No, it doesn't work. So all these things, Bali knew that none of these things could be taken to the next destination. But one thing could be taken is God's mercy. And what happens with God's mercy? When you have that, you attain something. When you become so close to God, when God loves you so much, you become non-different from Him. Not in the sense that you become God, but in the sense that you develop those qualities of saintliness, of humility, of kindness, compassion, so many qualities. There's 26 qualities that a devotee or a saintly person has. But in this case, Bali realized that one thing that he can take after death is fame. Fame in the sense that he will remain as a apostle, in the sense that he can preach, he can spread the word of God. So that's what he had in mind. And for that, he declined Shukracharya's orders, or his guru's orders. And he granted Upendra the 3 wishes, or 1 wish, which is 3 steps. So when Upendra, his name is Upendra up until now, right? So God's names are given by his activities, right? God has millions and trillions and billions of names. We don't know how many names he has. But whatever activity he does, he gets a different name. So for example, in that Mahamantra up there, Krishna means the one who's all attractive. Rama means the one who's all blissful. Upendra means someone who's close to the heart, or the little version of the king, whatever. Now, he's about to change his name. He's not going to change his name, but he's going to change his activities. He's going to perform another pastime. He's going to become Urukrama. Now, Uru means, again, 2 words put together. Uru means very great. And Krama, this is like the big part of this, the main aspect of this name. It means power. It means trembling. It means a forcible attack by stepping forward. So throwing the foot forward. And what did Upendra ask for? 3 steps. And Krama. So he's going to take those 3 steps now. So this is a foreshadowing of what's going to happen. And he's not going to take baby steps like, 1, 2. No, he's going to take forcible attack, stepping forward kind of thing. So it's going to be something big. So you guys already know what's going to happen. It's going to be something big. So he takes the first step. And what happens? He takes over the entire earthly sphere. Earth, planet, everything. First step, he takes over. Right? Simple? Any questions? How he did that? Don't ask me. You can ask him. Second step, he takes over heaven and outer space. Meaning, Bali had conquered the earthly planets as well. So when Upendra came to meet Bali, he was on the earthly platform in India, actually. This pastime happened in India. Again, on the banks of a river called Narmada. Not important. So he takes the second step. What does he do? Firstly, he grows huge, becomes a giant at this point. He's not a dwarf anymore. He becomes a giant. And when he lifts his big giantly foot, covers the whole space. His body covers all the upper planets, the heavenly planets, and his feet takes over all the directions and outer space. And you can see in this photo, there's some liquidy thing coming. I don't know if you can see, but this doesn't help. This white stuff over here, right? Does anyone know what that is by any chance? It's water. Because his nail pierced the shell of the universe. And water started seeping in. So does anyone know what the river Ganga is? Anyone? That's what the Ganga is. It's the water coming from past heaven. So that's what he did. Second step, earth is covered. First step, earth is covered. Second step, heaven and outer space in all directions are covered. What's left? What is he going to step on next? And that's his question. Now Urukrama is asking Bali, what am I going to step on now? You promised me three steps. I've taken 2 and covered everything you own. You have nothing to give me. What do I do now? And he says, you have lied to me and broken your promise as a king. Because back in the day, kings had morals. Whatever they said, they executed, they followed it. And so Mr. Urukrama is calling him out. You broke your promise. Why? What are you going to do to fix it? You know what? You'll be punished for it. Where will you go? You'll go to hell. You'll live in hell from now on because you broke your promise. Not because I'm punishing you, because you broke your word. That's how it was back in the day. If the king broke his word, in the next life, before taking the next life, he would go to a hellish planet and suffer some time in hell. Anyway, not important. So, promises are broken. And then what does Urukrama do? He has Bali Maharaj arrested. Different kind of arrested now, no handcuffs. It's different. He was tied with ropes all around his body, from neck all the way down to his feet. So Bali Maharaj is tied there, and everyone's wondering, what is he going to do next? What's going to happen? Is Bali going to be taken a prisoner, and we're going to see the end of Bali? No. What happens is, Bali offers himself. He has nothing else to offer. What does he do? He offers himself. And, one second. I had a slide here that I'm missing now. Anyway, Bali says, you've taken over everything I possess. You've taken over my land, my kingdom, my wealth, my family, everything that I own. I have nothing left to give you. So please accept me. That's all I have left to give. So what does he do? Even though he's bound with these ropes, he bows down and puts his head down like this and says to Urukrama, I offer you myself, please put your feet on my head. And when he does this is called surrender. Now I know, you guys are all freaking out. Surrender, this big word that I just threw in there. What does it mean? So I'll ask you, what does it mean to you? What does surrender mean to you?
Giving your body and soul to God.
Okay, that's a good one. Anjan, Ravi? Getting over ego.
Accepting the situation, accepting the plan.
Anyone else? Yes?
Realizing our true identity.
Very nice.
Realizing that we are nothing in front of God.
Yeah. Louis?
Trusting God's plan and letting go of the wheel.
Manjardhana Prabhu?
Giving up.
Adoksh?
I move of faith in something.
Anyone else? Any other idea of what surrender could possibly mean?
actions to God.
Yeah.
Performing bhakti.
Yeah. Basically, all of what you guys said is the answer. But of course, to put everything into concise words so that nothing doesn't get too big, there's a verse for this, of course. See, scriptures are so nice. There's everything we know, it's all put together. So, there's a verse that talks about the 6 divisions of surrender and what it means to actually surrender. So I'll read it and then we'll talk about what it means. Anukulasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjanam rakshishyatiti vishvaso goptritve varanang tatha atmanikshepa karpanye shadvidha sharanagatihi. So this sharanagati means surrender. Cool, this is Sanskrit, doesn't matter. But what matters is this. This is a translation of that verse. So the first thing is that accepting those things that are favorable to bhakti or our spiritual practice. Because this is how we develop that attachment, that attraction to that higher power. And if you're doing things that he doesn't want us to do, or that are not beneficial for that process, then you're not really surrendering yourself. Which goes to the second one, rejection of things that are unfavorable to bhakti. Means that you avoid all those things that inhibit the process of you connecting with the divine, like drinking, smoking. Like, for example, if an athlete, he has a marathon the next day, and the night before that, he goes to the bar and gets hammered. Is he going to be able to run the next day?
No.
So in the same way, if we are trying our best to connect to that divine, and we're constantly smoking, drinking, eating all these nasty things that are stopping our thinking of how we can connect to the God, to the divine, because it's all about connecting. Bhakti is about a connection. It's about connection of the hearts. So that heart becomes hard. If you're killing other people, other living entities, then your heart becomes hard. And when you have a hard heart, it becomes very difficult to connect. So we have to reject such kinds of things. And third is conviction that the Supreme will give protection. So a saintly person knows under all circumstances that he will be protected, that no matter what he does, he'll be okay. So we see so many examples of saintly people like Mother Teresa, and there's another one, Teresa of Avalon, I believe. I think. Saint Teresa of Avalon. Like, she, through her practice of spirituality, she saw God. She saw that divine, that form of the divine, which is very, very close to what our scriptures talk about and what scriptures of other religions also talk about. So how are they able to do it? How are they able to live in a monastery for year after year after year under austere conditions? Because they believe that no matter what happens, God or the divine will fully protect them under all circumstances and never give up on them. Where's my mouse? Oh. So like that, conviction. That conviction is very necessary. And then acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master. So he should never think that a saintly person never thinks that my friends, my family, my boss, my co-workers, my peers can protect me. We can't. If something happens, like if a unforeseen natural calamity happens, people drown. And sometimes people aren't able to save their friends. People die in a forest fire, earthquake, so many things, and we're not able to do anything. In a car crash, if my friend gets in an accident, there's nothing I can do from here. He's dead. He's as good as dead. But God, He can protect from wherever He is. He can make sure that the car comes to a halt at the right time before bursting into flames or whatever. So like that, God can always protect. And that acceptance of that is one of the divisions of surrender. And then full self-surrender to the divine, meaning that whatever activities that we're doing, we're not just doing it because we think it's right. It's because we've heard it, that this is what it's supposed to do to attain that connection. Like Teresa of Avalon didn't just do what she felt was right. She followed in the footsteps. Prabhupada here did not just concoct ideas from his head and, okay, we're going to chant 16 rounds and then somehow Krishna will come. No, he believed in his guru, who believed in his guru, all the way up to Krishna. It's all in a lineage. So that lineage was not broken, and the full self-surrender means that you follow in the footsteps of previous guru. And lastly, humility. You have to be meek and humble. You cannot be confident and say, yes, I have seen God, I have seen God, I have connected to God. And then next minute you're doing something nefarious or doing something ungodly. So humility is necessary to always keep you in check. It keeps you in check, that you remember that you're just a little soul, a sparkle of the big spark, or flame in this case. God is not a spark, he's a flame. But we're a little sparkle, right? So that's what you have to remember. And now you guys might be wondering, oh my God, he said all these big things about surrender, but I don't even know what to do, what that means. I'm still very unclear. Let me tell you, material surrendering, which is what some of you might be thinking, like, oh, I have to give up my freedom, I have to give up this, I have to give up that, just to connect to God. Yeah, that's not really what I meant. I mean, spiritual surrender. Material surrender is not the same as spiritual surrender. You don't have to give up your identity. You still stay Sudipta, you still say Devatman, you still say Rabi, Krishna, whatever. Whoever you are, you stay as it is, as you are. But you connect your spiritual identity back to God. Because that identity gets lost. Although it's there, it's always there, but we forget. We forget that we're part and parcel of God. Doesn't mean that we have to give up anything. We just have to reconnect. And that's yoga. Yoga means addition. So we just have to add that connection back to our lives. Whatever we're doing is great. Keep doing it. No problem. Just add God to it, or the divine, whatever you want to call it. So that is what surrender is. And don't laugh. And one of my friends, she said this wonderful thing. I was talking to her yesterday about this topic of surrender. And she said a very wonderful point. She said that surrender is a path to the highest form of freedom. And this doesn't mean material freedom. It means true spiritual freedom, meaning liberation. That ultimate liberation that we're all hankering for somehow. We want that unlimited joy. We want that unlimited happiness. We want that unlimited knowledge. We all want it. We're all yearning for it. The heart's yearning for that. But we don't know how to access it. We don't know how to get to it. We don't know where to find that knowledge, where to find the connection. But once we take to that path of spirituality, bona fide, true spirituality, not some concocted spirituality that you find in the basement in one of the 5 boroughs of New York. There's plenty of that going on, but that's not what will connect us to the proper liberation, to the proper freedom. It has to be a bona fide path. And we're very blessed that Bhakti School is part of such a bona fide lineage where whatever we preach, whatever we learn, whatever we teach, it's all bona fide. It's not coming out of my brain today and then Pancharatna Prabhu's brain tomorrow and then Krishna's brain the third day. No, we're all following the same knowledge that's been given by the Supreme. So that's true surrender. And that's what Bali did. He surrendered everything. Now I don't have any more slides after this, but I'll tell you what he received in return. He lost everything first. Whatever he had, he lost it. And on top of that, Urukrama stepped on his head, right? And he punished him, saying, you'll go to hell. He wasn't lying. He did send him to hell. So earthly planet and everything above was taken. Now, if you're already standing on something, that means that you already have conquered what's below you. You cannot stand on something that you haven't conquered. So it's given that Urukrama had already conquered the lower planetary systems as well. So what did he do? He gave Bali Maharaj all the planetary systems below. And what did he do? He did one other thing. He said, I'll be the doorkeeper for your kingdom so that no one ever comes and harms you. Until you die, until you leave your body, I will protect you. So little Urukrama went back to his dwarf spice and is still standing outside Bali's kingdom waiting for any intruder, any attackers, and so on and so forth. So that's God. He takes everything away from you to give you something that you didn't even know. We're all asking for broken glasses from God, broken pieces of glasses. But what does God give you in return? He gives you diamonds. We ask for such insignificant, dumb things at times. But God, He listens. He fulfills all your desires. But He gives you much, much more than what you asked for. And in this case, that's exactly what happened with Bali Maharaj. So I have nothing else to say. Thank you all for listening. If there's any questions, you can ask. Yes, Isabel. Wait 1 second. Did it make sense what I spoke about?
Yeah.
Any like weird things that I said? Ignore it. Yes, Isabel.
So God is very powerful, I understand that, but when you take somebody that you love away, accident, death, etc., how can you reconcile that with the love of God? How can you say, oh, God wasn't there for the person who passed?
See, that's why. Okay, I'll say the philosophy first, and then I'll bring the compassion into it. So everyone's gonna die one day, right? Everyone is a mortal entity, so that will always be there. Now, why does God take away someone from us? Well, sometimes He does that to bring you closer to Him, because at some point, when everything is taken from you, you have nothing left. So who do you turn to at that point? Then you start searching, you start inquiring, then you start seeking. And when you start all these things, then eventually you'll come to Him. Now, if you start blaming Him for everything, that, how dare you take my family away, and you start resenting Him, then that doesn't do anyone any good. You just become hard-hearted, you become sad, morose, so many things. And then you ignore God, you try to do things against His wishes. That's all great, but then what happens to you? I'm not talking about this body. This body is going to come to an end one day. But the soul, where does that soul go? The soul has to find another temporary establishment again. And again, go through it. Again, lose family members. Again, lose this, that. Again, go through the same feelings. So, but rather, if we just have a shift in our consciousness and understand that, yeah, God took someone away from me. Okay, why? Maybe because He wants me to really think about Him more. And this is not even understanding that body is going to come to an end one day. Even if you don't have that knowledge, if you can somehow understand this higher principle that it's for the greater good. Because whatever God does is all good. Because we are in this dual platform. This existence is a duality. There's heat and then there's cold. There's happiness, there's sadness. But where God lives, His modus operandi is like absolute. Whatever He does is good. There is no bad. It may seem bad for us, but it's all good in the broader sense, right? So like that. Anyone else? Yes, Lucy.
What would be your advice for somebody who has a hard time surrendering to God? I
Well,
know it was a big question.
First step would be accept things that are favorable. And you see, it's not just like random things in random order. Scriptures are so nice because when they give so many things, they usually list it in order. You cannot accept the Lord as one's guardian or master if you don't do things that are favorable, right? So that's the first thing. You associate with people who are of the same mindset. So it starts with association. In Sanskrit, it's called sadhu sangha. So sadhu sangha is the key to everything, which is why we're here. You're not at home, you're here. Why? Because you see that there's something important going on here. That's why you've made the effort to come here. So that's the first step. And you think, okay, sure, I'm here with 15 people. What could I benefit? No, that's how it starts. Because you start doing things that are acceptable, that are favorable to bhakti. Because you see other people doing it. We're all conditioned like that. Peer pressure, whatever you want to call it. Because others are doing it, okay, I can do it too. Or I'll do it, okay. I don't want to be the weird person not doing it. Somehow, you start doing it. And that's the first step. Anyone else? Yes?
Don't you need to be humble to actually accept Lord as your master already? So then the sequence becomes a little confusing to me.
I was thinking the same.
Which one? Fourth one? Or
The sixth one.
Sixth one, which one?
We're taught accepting the spiritual master, you're being submissive to him. So automatically you are humble. That's why you're accepting him as spiritual master.
Oh. Humility comes much later. Humility is needed to, like we say in one of our prayers, that Trinadapi Suniche and all these things, right? That's up there. But in terms of surrender, the order is a little changed. Because you cannot just come first and you cannot be humble. Who here is humble at the first time they come to, like, who of us has, when they've come to spirituality for the first time, who came humble? Everyone's like, nah, I know this, man. I don't need to hear from you. I already know it. That's the attitude I came with. And my grand spiritual master was giving the discourse that day. And I was like, I don't need to listen to him. I already know. But he changed my mind that day. By the end of that day, I walked out of that lecture knowing that, not knowing, at least believing without any evidence that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Because in that class, he said it at least 8-9 times. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He just said it casually here and there. And I was like, okay, I believe you. But there was no question of humility at that point. But at least I accepted favorable things that he was saying it. I took it. Humility in terms of surrender comes much later. But for chanting and all those things, yes, we have to be in a humble state to start chanting. And what is bhakti? Chanting, right? As essence is chanting. So when you start the process of bhakti, you have to go through all of these things at some point to get to the pure level of chanting that we're talking about. Any other questions?
No,
Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry.
So, when we lose someone we love, I know God has created a plan and He wants us to get closer to Him. But I think it's a later process. As human beings, we go through the stages of denial, grief, acceptance. Acceptance is going to come in the end. And I think when you go through grief and denial,
Anger.
at one point or the other, you might resent God. So, and they also say that if you just accept it, once the tragedy happens, it's like you're suppressing your emotions and they might come back later. So how do you deal with grief in Krishna consciousness? How do you deal with the emotions which are overflowing and out of control when grief happens?
So in the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada writes this wonderful introduction to something already so wonderful. He talks about how religion and what was the other word? Fanaticism? No.
Religion and
Philosophy. Yeah. So he says that sentiment, philosophy, and religion, these two things. He says that philosophy without sentiment, what is it?
Philosophy without religion
Is sentiment. Philosophy without religion is sentiment.
Religion without philosophy becomes sentiment or fanaticism.
Right. So how we operate in this movement is that we feel things, yes, we feel all the emotions other human beings feel, but we are guided by scriptures. That's the difference. So a person who's not taken to the path of bhakti or any other bona fide spiritual process, they don't have anything to fall back on. They just have their acquired knowledge from their peers and whatever they've done throughout their life, but they have nothing higher than that. They don't know why it's happening, that they don't understand that the body will die one day, that the body has to come to an end. There's no way to preserve it. It's not possible. They don't even know that the soul is inside the body. So what we feel, we're allowed to feel it, yes, it's natural. But that feeling can be guided with knowledge. So that knowledge is necessary. Knowledge doesn't take your feelings away. It's there. It just channels it in the right direction. But someone who doesn't have that knowledge is just running on sentiment. That religion becomes very difficult at that point. Then you're just like blaming God for everything that happens bad in your life. And for good things, you'll blame yourself. Oh yeah, I'm the cause of this good thing. I did this, I attained this. But when something bad, God did this to me. How can God be so nasty to me? You become all melodramatic and then you start cursing God. And then you start preaching that God is this, God is that, God is Jagannath. He does all the, whatever. Good things, we don't give credit to God. But for sadness in life, we blame God. So knowledge has to be there. You have to guide yourself with knowledge. And that's why Krishna spent 48 minutes of his life speaking the Bhagavad Gita. He didn't just put it out there for no reason. There's a big reason. And the second chapter of the Gita, Arjuna had the same questions as you. And what did Krishna do? He gave the whole summary of the entire Gita in the second chapter. In case Arjuna didn't want to listen to the rest of the 16 chapters. He gave it in the second chapter. So if you read the second chapter, this will answer your question very nicely. Unfortunately, the higher authorities are telling me to stop, so I have to stop. Please forgive me. Yeah, not I can't believe it. So, sorry. Thank you all for your time. Hope whatever I said made sense, and if it didn't, blame Haraipran. So he asked me to speak today. I was planning on just sitting on the desk outside. So.
Everybody enjoyed that talk? Yeah! Should Prabhavishnu give more talks?
Yeah! No.
Should we do some kirtan now? Yes? That was not enthusiastic. Yes!